Here.
Mr. Wincheimer?
Here.
Mr. Chuck?
Here. There is a quorum. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, 2.1, adoption of agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Is there any debate? There's no debate. Sandy, roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett?
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen?
Aye.
Mr. Tavernini?
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer?
Aye.
Mr. Chuck?
Aye. Motion passes. 3.1, celebrations. I'll have this one up with just saying that the open houses were very organized and smooth, and our kids felt very at home and welcomed, and it was just a great experience for everybody this year. We have two little ones, one in Thompson and one in Beaver Valley, and got to experience both schools the same day, and it was great. Teachers had all their stuff prepared, and a lot of the Apogee related materials were there and easy, and I was able to get right on there and get on the system and get on the app, and we're already communicating with teachers on the new Apogee Rooms app, and it's working great as far as I can tell as a parent. And lots of great communication from email and Alma and Apogee. So I just want to tell you guys I appreciate that, because it's been pretty smooth and easy for us so far. And I talked to two of them at the end of the day today, and they're still excited to go back to school tomorrow, so not sure if you are. Just want to give you guys props for, I know that's a lot. That's a massive undertaking to get all those kids in for open house and families, and try to make it look like it somewhat organized. It was nice, so appreciate that.
Very nice. I have a small win that I was just telling Mr. Chart about. I got on and was looking at the athletic schedule. There are links that you can click on and it puts it on your calendar, and I've never been so thankful for anything so small.
Bobby.
In my life, thank you, Bobby.
I did slip.
I'm like, where was this for the last 9 years? So thank you. It was great. It's awesome.
He also cleaned up all of the athletic pages on the website too. And so
Yes. It looks great.
it's easy to see
Website.
schedules and everything. He did a really nice job.
I would just say that, and you guys see it in your financial report and in finance committee meeting, was a little bit more elaborated on, and I think a big victory is our finance team has really jumped in head first, gotten their arms around a lot of things, made a lot of positive changes and corrections, and excited about training and bettering themselves and bettering this district. So I think that's a huge positive for our district. Thank you to everybody.
Anybody else have anything to add?
I do.
Marcia?
I do. You know me, I do. I wanted to shout out Beaver Valley. So there's some things there with that I shared with the staff in an email too. And a couple of Beaver Valley staff members were on a podcast for Character Strong. And if you get a chance, listen to that. It should be in your email. If you don't see the staff update, let me know and I'll send it to you. And I want to share also on Facebook and other things. But it talks a lot about PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention Support. And so it's focusing on the positive. And then today I had the opportunity to go over to the school and walk around and listen to the lessons. And Mr. Singley and Mr. Wilson and a bunch of the staff, the counselors, were teaching those lessons right there in the place. Mr. Singley was teaching in the gym and about how do we act when we're in an assembly, and it was all focused on the positive. And the counselor had talked about, what if you get an award and you're not, you're loud, then you won't hear your name. So it was just a great way to start the year, and I took pictures of it all, and I took pictures in the hallway they have there their PBIS matrix up and their pride, and so super excited about what you're doing over there. So that was awesome. The other piece that I wanted to shout out was our city. So this morning I got a phone call and about a student who was trying to navigate Mill Street. And you know, and between Mill Street and Cambridge, if you've driven by there recently, you'll see there's a big hole right at Cambridge. So I drove right over there, and before I got there, I called Monty Torres and just said, hey, can you send somebody? Monty called Dale. Dale sent 2 people that got there almost right after I got there. It was that quick. And one went on one side of the area, the construction area, and one went on the other side, and so they blocked traffic either way, and then I could just walk the students back and forth. It was great. And this afternoon I drove by there again, hoping maybe, because I had given them if you could just move this back, you know, a few feet. But they have a hole, they're doing work, and I get that. And so I drove by and I'm like, oh, we still have a big hole. So I contacted Monty again and just said, hey, any way you can send those guys back for the afternoon and probably in the morning? And he's like, yes, I'm on it. I'll got it. And so just appreciated that collaboration and that help. So, and that all the children got to school safe. Then the other shout out I wanted to give was just our staff. Wow. Talked to several of the principals during the day, and then at 3 o'clock today we had a all departments, all schools Google Meets call. It only lasted about 15 minutes, but it's just a roll call with every school and just saying how's everything functioning, and it gives each school an opportunity because maintenance is on there, transportation's on there, technology's on there, any type of glitches, so we can make sure we have a smooth opening. And it was exciting to hear how it was going and how well it went. And also appreciated district staff went over to Thompson and to help with all of the little ones, because Thompson gets to train all of the parents and all the young ones on how to school, right? So appreciated that as well. So
It's very cool.
just a lot of good things.
Yes, very cool.
Very good. Anyone else? Next item of business, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as posted?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as posted. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Catalini,
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer,
Aye.
Mr. Chart.
Aye. Motion passes. I believe there's no community comment at this time. Next item of business, 6.1, financial report.
And I think everybody has this document in your packet, in hard copy. It's also on your.
Lisa, you want to just talk about kind of what we talked about in the finance committee meeting for just some of the mindset and the idea behind changing the format of the report and just your thought process with that, just so everyone understands. And I like it. It's great. Good to hear from you.
So Marcia and I decided that me sitting here reading you guys' numbers that don't make any sense, and even for the public, it's a lot easier to understand if I just give you the highlights of what we've done. You've got the fund balances and they're out there for anybody to see. We're still providing all that. But more than anything, just to let you guys know what's coming up, what we're doing this month, what we've got coming up next month, and where the financial department is at this point. So that being said, so July highlights, our large expenses were mainly our curriculum. We had already encumbered it the month before. We have paid out 63% of the budget for the curriculum textbooks. Other curriculum, we paid out 64% of the budget. And electronic media, it was $143,000, which is 62% of our budget. Next month, we will pay the remainder. We're just waiting on invoices and such to finish paying all those off. The incoming revenues, the only thing we had that was out of the norm this month was we did receive $1 million for storm damages from Selective. And then So looking for, into August, our biggest ticket thing is going to be, we'll pay for the dish room that they did at Thompson, once it's completed. There's been a few hiccups, so we won't pay for that until everything is in place and working like it's supposed to be. And as you can see in front of you with all the number changes and everything, it's a work in process to get the invoice correct and make sure that we're not paying for something more than once. We ordered the desktop computers. They will be in on August 20th, and then they'll be paid for at that time. And then the Viper threat protection that was approved in July, that'll be paid out of next month's income too. And then just a few side notes, the finance department has focused this month on going over all of our processes and procedures and making sure that everybody's on the same page as to what we need to be doing and correcting the things that we weren't doing that we needed to be doing. Myself and Candy went through all of our procedures with entering the requisitions and getting approvals and everything. We rewrote all of them and presented them to the finance secretaries, and everybody's very much on board and doing everything the correct way. We received tons of calls every day saying, what am I supposed to do with this? And just working through all that right now, but everybody's working towards doing it, and they were very much on board and excited to make the changes. And they're very excited to get more training. They've all mentioned that they'd like to do more of it, so we are setting up a monthly training that will just work on our software, our accounting software, and also just anything that they feel like they need more of. So.
You know, I have anything to add, right? I just want to say one thing there, that Lisa did a nice job leading that training. And it was a half-day training. It was a full day. We took them. And I just stayed in the training. I kind of did a spiel at the beginning and then just sat there and just listened. But they were very on board, excited. We have great staff, hardworking, committed, dedicated. And we're like, yeah, we can do this, and figuring out, okay, how are we going to make sure that we're following this, and asked great questions, continue to send emails and ask great clarifying questions. So I'm just really proud of all of them. Nice work. Very cool.
Does anyone have any questions for Lisa? Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Next item of business, 6.2 board reports. Are there any board reports this month? Okay. Next item of business, 6.3 superintendent's report.
All right. You will be thrilled to know I highlighted those things I'm going to talk about. Look at that. So I'm not going to talk about everything. It's there, though. It's there if you want to talk about it. Just a reminder that our September board meeting is going to be at Beaver Valley. So make sure you go over there. Super excited to highlight that. What I'd like us to do is to start at 5 o'clock with a dinner. Chartwells will be catering that. And it's just for the admin team, directors, principals, assistant principals, and the board, and you know, that crew, our leadership team and the board. And it's an opportunity just to visit, to chat, almost like a work session, and that's how we'll look at it. But it's not a work session. This is the time to build trust, to build relationship, rapport, celebrate, that type of thing. And there's a board meeting schedule. There's a link there that has the location for each board meeting for the rest of the month. So if you have any questions, feel free to look at that. I'll keep that at the bottom of my superintendent's reports after this. So it'll always be there if you need to reference where's the meeting at this month. So again, September, October, November, and February, March, and April we'll have them on school sites. And November, when we go to the secondary campus, our Beatbox, our radio Beatbox catering will be providing that meal. Chartwells will be providing the rest. You will also see right below the board of meeting schedule, my 90-day plan update. just continuing to go through those processes, policies, finance, all of that. Any questions about any of those tasks that I've been communicating on? It was, the most recent update to that was on Friday, where I color coded. You can see a lot of it is in process. The green is completed, red means I have not started that specific task yet, but any questions on that 90-day plan?
What does the one mean where it's part yellow and part green?
There you go. That's exactly it. Which one is that? Just say it.
Analyze staff surveys for trends.
Yes and yes. That one we actually already did. That would be all green. It should be all green. We did that at the admin meeting. We looked at it. So I keep the names and all of the information from staff surveys very confidential and close to my heart. But what I did do, and you can vouch for it, I printed and then cut apart each individual comment for 2 of the rows, and they were what do you love about Brush, your hopes, and what was the third one? Hopes and what would you like to see next year? And changes or whatever. So, and I cut each one apart. I cut apart anything that had any type of identifier that could possibly say who it was. I took those out. And then the staff, the principals, they took time to trend that data. They sorted it, trended it, and that's how we came up with our foci for the year. So, any thoughts on that from that experience? Tracy or Brian or Kendra?
I felt like people were very hopeful and positive. Most of all of the comments were. And if there was anything that was critical, it was given in a kind light, I felt.
Mm-hmm. It was because they really want to see it, you know, because they had an idea or they cared that much. But I would agree, there wasn't anything that was like hurtful or vindictive or really negative. It was about improving. Like this is our areas we need clarity on.
Well, there's a lot more green on there than last month.
We're getting there. There's a lot to do still.
Is that how you're feeling right now? Like, we're making progress, but
I do. I do.
tons to do still. What's your biggest challenge? Can you say that in a public meeting?
Trick question.
Yeah, it is. You know, you just never know what challenges are around the
Yeah.
corner, right? So yeah, you know, I can say staff are not my challenge. The staff, I have been so impressed. I walked every school briefly this afternoon, and that was fun. It was so fun to see. I didn't go into the classrooms because I'm at least that nice. So I didn't walk into the classrooms, but I just walked by and kind of wave, and it was just exciting to see. Really exciting to see good things all across our district. So, how was that for an answer?
That's a good answer.
Anti-challenge answer, I like it.
All right, the next item is the evaluation tool. I did print that for you, so you have this month to look at it. It is connected directly with the superintendent's role that you decided upon in June. So you'll have this month to review it. You can provide feedback. And then I would propose that you adopt it in September if you like it, if you feel like it works for you, and for the board and for our district. And you can definitely make changes at the next board meeting before you adopt it, because I believe the first kind of evaluation piece would be in October, so I think you would want to adopt it in September. Any discussion, anything that struck you? This was just initially.
I guess the main question I had is, I can't remember where I saw it, but it basically, oh yeah, it states annual performance review. I know in the past we've done quarterly or intermittent reviews. Do you see that as, I guess, when you evaluate an employee, you don't ever want the evaluation to be a surprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you envision being a good feedback mechanism for this board to give you feedback, positive or negative, so that when we get to this annual review, you're not being surprised by something that is written on there.
I think that's an excellent question. I think similar to all employees, that end of year will be the formal one that should go in my file, right?
Right.
That last page. And I would recommend to use this for those interims, that you would give me feedback, probably more candidly. We could have a discussion, what are the areas as we go through here, I can tell you what I feel I'm doing to address that specific part of my role. And then I would hope that you could share with me like, hey, I just don't see that, or we'd like you to go here, or, it's just an opportunity to course correct if needed. So that, like you said, at the end of the year evaluation, it's not like a shocker, and you're not trying to figure it all out at that time. But
Right.
in, October and February, we could have those more candid conversations.
Okay. So you're planning on putting that on as an agenda item in October and February?
Or a work session,
Okay.
if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
that'd
because
probably be
it's-
better. I mean, that's a more natural fit for that kind of thing. I think in the past, we've actually done executive session.
Well, yeah.
And I'm
because-
okay with work session, if anybody can listen, because if they have input and like, hey, Marcia, you need to really not do that, okay, like, whatever it is, like, hopefully they would tell me, not just a board work session,
Yeah,
but that's okay, I mean,
Okay.
I'm good with that.
anybody have any comments or questions on that?
I would just like put an emphasis on what you said, that it shouldn't be the first time anyone hears something that I might have a concern with that I'm gonna bring, and I'm gonna get her right here. She should be hearing that from us.
Do we need to add that to our business document so that so it doesn't fall through the cracks as we're
That's good, yeah. Sandy's on
watching
it.
agenda stuff?
She is. And as soon as you said add,
She's like, hey, there's this.
get it.
Wow, it's like magic. And I agree, I would appreciate that. If you do see an area that needs course corrected, I appreciate those conversations, middle of the week or whatever. And I think everyone here has been really good about communicating, so, but don't hesitate.
Perfect.
All right. Grab some doc. I think you can see the screen. So I just took that enrollment doc. That was that I linked in my superintendent's report and just wanted to compare it to last year's actual numbers. This is from CDE website. Again, this is number of registrations. We don't know exactly what our enrollment is yet. I did talk to several of the principals today about, hey, what is the numbers looking like? At the high school, what Bradley shared with me is it's about 100 per class, because this morning I heard they had an influx of some kids. So we need to order some more Chromebooks, so we're working on that. But it's about 100 students per class, and it sounds like it's really about 100 students per class district-wide. Would you agree, Mr. Singley, Mrs. Singley?
If you average it, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
You have
it.
a large third grade class, I know.
And a small fifth grade.
Mm-hmm.
That's sixth grade classes.
Yeah.
Good. This is good to see, actually.
So we'll just keep monitoring those numbers. You can expect to see that from now through October count, but just an update.
So I guess based on that, do we anticipate continued decline in enrollment, or, I mean, it looks like we're pretty strong right there.
Until I have those actual numbers, it's hard to make that conjecture yet.
Okay,
But I would say in a month, I'll have a good feel
okay.
for where we are, or a better feel. Any thoughts on that? Any of you?
And we had some that registered, new students that registered who then didn't show up, and when we made calls today, they were, no, we moved or whatever.
Okay.
There's a lot of that at the beginning of the year. It's just like,
Yes. Hard to
it's hard to know. Meal prices are there. That's mainly referencing if your child gets seconds, so just know that. Yes, everybody receives free breakfast, free lunch, but that is an action item that I'll need you to take action on. The Weldon Valley sponsor agreement, that will start on Wednesday. I did sign that. You can see the document there. Woodland MOU, this is an action item. I've also printed it. It's in your hard copy handouts as well. And just wanted to make sure there aren't any questions or comments. We discussed it at the last board meeting. But wondered if you had any thoughts. Oh, one thing I needed to circle back on is I did talk to the superintendent, and he is going to send out a survey. I sent some information about some initial thoughts, but he will send a survey out, and that is part of the MOU. Ask for that to be in there. Next piece, storm damage update. You know, this could take a lot longer, but you can see there's been a cadence of meetings that have taken place recently with a lot more to come. Our discussion, the most recent meeting was on Friday, and that discussion is focusing on the siding at the secondary campus. We're waiting for an estimate for that because it wraps around that wood-looking siding. I don't know if I'm not describing that well in technical terms, but the wood-looking siding. We're trying to get an estimate because the actual producer, whoever made that, is no longer creating that, so we're trying to get that an estimate so we can go forward. Also, the interior leaks because there was damage to the roofs, from what I'm understanding, is some of that hail was 3 inches in diameter, and so when you do that and you haven't repaired the roof for a period of time, then there's some interior leaks. Those have been documented. We discussed those during that meeting, and they sent in a third party, so I should say they, that would be Chris Tremaine, who is the person that we retained, sent in some, and also Rocky Mountain Construction sent in somebody to do, it's an imaging, it's like hydro imaging where they can see if there's moisture inside. So they took those pictures, they're sending that to Selective. Then Selective is sending their engineer, and so we'll have a follow-up meeting about the interior this Friday. And then I have a meeting with Chris Tremaine, just the two of us this Friday as well. A lot more to come in that one. Any easy questions there?
Good preface.
Okay. So HVAC, we are planning to move forward with BEST. I talked with Milling, who is the person who helped write the BEST grant last year. He proposed reconsidering it with us using general fund to pay for the lighting portion. Right at this time, what I explained is, hey Bradley, is that right now we're working on revising our budget, and so right now is not the time for us. And again, more to come with this as well. And I had shared with Mr. Chard, I just want to share that Bradley is not here because he's tardy, right? He was speaking at the athletic meeting just a few moments ago, so thank you, Mr. Bass, for coming to multiple meetings and fitting them all in. How was the athletic meeting?
There's a lot of parents there, so.
That's great.
We had no questions on eligibility, so.
Wow,
That's good.
must have been pretty clear about it. Hopefully.
Give
Hopefully
it
that's
only
what
the
that
first day of
means.
school. 3 weeks. Just saying. Just saying. My whole call sheet will be eligibility.
Yeah. And since Mr. Bass is in the room right now, we had celebrations a moment ago. I also want to shout out Mr. Bass. I received multiple emails this last week from veteran staff members that this was the best start they've had to a school year since they've been on staff. So really shouted out Mr. Bass and his leadership. So he needs to know what a great job he's doing.
Absolutely.
Super excited about him taking the helm over there. Okay, I've already shared that the budget is updated. The next piece that I wanted to highlight is the proposed employee benefit is just codifying past practice. So past practice has been that we've paid for 50% of our staff members' childcare. I would just like to put that into writing and then use that as a recruiting tool. The other piece is past practice, we've paid for staff members' preschool tuition. We were able to do that because CPP funds were more flexible than UPK funds. This year, it's just trickier, to put it in one way, with UPK. Is that fair to say? Trickier, nice word. So I had a staff member reach out and said, hey, I'm paying X number of dollars more than I was when my daughter or my child, I don't know if it's a daughter or son, child was in childcare because we paid for 50% of childcare but didn't pay for preschool, but all of the other years we've paid for preschool. So this is something that I would ask would not come out of the preschool or Little Beats Child Care Fund. It would be something out of our general fund. We would title it employee benefits, which I heard Ms. Hanson talking about at a previous board meeting. And it would just be titled employee benefits, and then it would be, hey, this is the amount for our staff, 50% of their child care and our staff's preschool. A benefit to us is that having staff in our preschool, it's a recruitment tool, like I said, and having students in our district keeps them there for the trajectory. So thoughts on that, questions?
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of it, and because we're not be able to get the flexibility out of it, I just wonder if there's projections on how many of those have Little Beats and how that'll fast forward. I'm sure we're gonna see an ebb and flow, right? So if we've got a lot of Little Beats in, we'll see some higher preschool years. So I think just projecting that out based on attendance even of current children, if we can just see it, you know, go, okay, this is what it looks like. That's what I would like to see, is where we think it'll land.
So it was nice because Kendra and her team did send some documents earlier today with some of those trajectories.
Projections,
And
yeah.
some projections, and it's going to be tricky knowing, hey, we
Mhm.
may hire somebody in June or July that has 2 kids. Like, all of that can happen. We know that. So we're gonna have to put enough in that line item to think about that. Right now, the 50% childcare is the most expensive piece. Looking at it, and I haven't done a deep analysis of it, it's about $5,000 to $6,000 a month. So you're talking about 60 to 70, well, not 60, depending on, because they're not gonna be there for 12 months, but, you know,
Mhm.
you're talking about, it could be about 60,000 for childcare. And with the preschool was less than that. I would say it's more around the like 10 to 15,000 for the
Okay.
preschool.
That's good.
But those are the numbers that we're working with. So be mindful of that. Kendra, any thoughts there? Anything to add that I missed?
No, it's just, yeah, it's just, it's difficult. It's more
Mhm.
difficult than it's ever been. So,
And the preschool piece is, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of one-offs where that particular individual doesn't qualify for a UPK, for
Right.
full UPK, or a Head
Right.
Start
Spot.
spot,
Mhm.
or tuition assistance, or whatever you wanna call it,
Mhm.
and that's when this kicks in, so.
and I mean, you'll hear on the news and everything that preschool's free. Preschool's not free for 3-year-olds. Preschool is only 10 to 15 hours for 4-year-olds only. So I think that's a misconstrued media notice, is that we get out there, yeah, it's free for some people if you're at the right age level. And so, I think it's good to look at the whole picture, I guess, and really think about that. And if we, in a small town, I think if we don't capture them at 3, will we capture them at 4? And could we be losing an opportunity type thing? I don't know with staff kids how that would play out as well. So.
I think it's a great strategy, yeah.
It would definitely use it for recruiting, like I said, then I would like to advertise it like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is a benefit, and get some new young teachers, right? Continue to. We always are needing teachers, right, Miss Ingley? All right, the kitchen, Miss Carey already talked about this and referenced it. I wanna just paint a little bit more of a picture. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time. But at your not last board meeting, in the June board meeting, you approved a quote for almost 200,000 for that kitchen remodel, 199 and change. Since that time, there was a change order. Crystal was great about finding a cheaper source for the dishwasher that was an equal quality. And then we realized, hey, we gotta add this tile, so then I had communicated, hey, we have to have some tile added on here. Since that time on Friday, they realized that the sketch that was created, they would be returning the trays where the sprayer is. So if you just picture the children returning the trays where the sprayer is, that's just not a good situation. So So they needed to reconfigure how that table will work. I asked Rocky Mountain Construction for a new quote based on that need. And they sent me this with the different pieces again, which includes equipment and installation. There's some confusion, I think, because we definitely don't need two of each. We don't need to buy it from Hobart and from Rocky Mountain Construction. And what does that labor include? So my question in my email to Rocky Mountain Construction, which they may have gotten back to me because I haven't checked my email in the past few hours, is to say, what is the cost for the labor? What does it take for this change? What is our rate? What is the cost per hour? How many laborers? I just want a little bit more precision. So in the motion that you can take action on tonight, it just says not to exceed 22,000. That's a not to exceed, because I don't have a quote for you for that change. Questions on that? And you can ask Hardwin's on this one.
I appreciated seeing it laid out, what those differences were that were from the original to what we've got now, so appreciated that. That was really helpful.
And my hope is that it will be less messy. It will continue to learn and grow, right? And I'll continue to do better in this as well. So we'll get there. We will get there. You'll see a couple of current facility repairs. I do have, if you're curious why we need to repair those vestibule lights, I'm happy to, after tonight's meeting, I have a demonstration. Travis and Grady brought one over, so I also took pictures of where they're being replaced. And so if you're curious, I have a show and tell after the meeting. So happy to show that. Also, in Beaver Valley, we're wanting to level some land over there. That's what that's for. Something that popped up very recently, this weekend, Mr. Murphy spent both Saturday and Sunday working all day. And on Saturday, our sound at the football field isn't just not working like it's supposed to be. And so he and another tech director met over there to figure out what's going on. We're going to need to purchase a new amplifier and also repair the two horn speakers, and so that's going to be at $4,900. It's like $4,950 or $4,990. So just so you know, that's underway. We went ahead and processed that first thing this morning because we need to make sure we have sound for the first football game. That's key. So appreciated Bobby's time that he put into that and getting that going. Yeah, $49.90, you'll see it there. I did add it. Last little piece with this section is that we will have a training on the 23rd of August on our new scheduling software. That has been purchased over a year ago, but now because of Mr. Murphy, we now have it in place. All admin have been trained now and secretaries, and so people can request a use of a building from any place, so just a computer, and it will be linked on our website. Also, there'll be a training, but it's very intuitive. If you've ever reserved a hotel room online, it's very similar to that. Not a difficult leap. I will be proposing to the board at the next board meeting in September to look at our building use policies. I didn't want to do too many in one board meeting, but that will be something, because what I'd like to propose to the board is for the principals to oversee their buildings so that they know what's going on in their buildings. And so if somebody requests like, hey, can I use the cafeteria on Tuesday at 2? Mr. Bass knows what's going on in the cafeteria Tuesday at 2 a lot more than I know what's going on in his cafeteria Tuesday at 2. So I'd like for him to be able to say, yes, they can, or yeah, that's not going to work. So to revise that policy to say superintendent or designee, and they would be designee.
So in this system, do school activities go into that and block out venues and dates and things?
And also, we'll start with our, in fact, we already have, right? Do you want to talk about that, Mr. Bass, at all, about where you're currently
Yeah, so
at with that?
like our fall sports have gone through now and put in every game, every practice, and blocked that out for any facility they're using, and they're in, and we'll probably run it kind of in that start of the season cycle. So winter sports, that first couple weeks in November, we should have all winter sports in through March. and then they're blocked out, and then when you go in as a requester, you can't even see that space. Like if you go to book it at a time that we have high school basketball practice in the arena, and you request the arena for that date and time, it'll just come back with no availability. And so we've gone through that, and as of this morning, that's good for all of our fall sports and all of our locations. And then starting to see some trickle in from other buildings now, so we're trying to get auditorium caught through at least December so that we can I can start to approve those requests and go through those.
So did I hear you correct that as a user, as a requester, you can't look at a calendar and see facilities and
Oh, I
times
can
that are
show you.
already blocked?
Yeah, you can see, it'll break it down and say blocked but yeah, if you go, even if you don't access the calendar and you just go through the form and try to request it, it'll tell you.
Okay.
So here's how you can reserve a space. Here, we'll do a little demo maybe.
Well, just from a practicality standpoint with experience, right? Youth
Yeah.
basketball is the biggest challenge,
Yeah,
to try to figure out how to get all those different teams and coordinating all the different volunteer coaches and stuff. And so,
There you go.
yeah, awesome.
That's perfect.
so they-
Because I like to, as a volunteer coach, sit down at the beginning of the year and say, okay, what fits? And say, here's the practice schedule, don't call me. I'll let you know if something changes, so I don't have time for that.
And that is our.
And this will help it
Yeah, that's our end
tremendously.
goal, is to have those in, and then we are kind of setting deadlines for our crew, and then we turn it over to rec next to say, okay, athletics and building level stuff have gotten their requests in for all of this winter season. Now rec, you can go through and book times that you need, and then that way those get blocked out, and
And then,
they can have those standing. Yeah, maybe youth basketball's got middle school gym from 6:30 to 8:30. Rec department can book that out for the days they want it, and then general public goes to book that gym, well, it's already booked. We've got middle school practice to this point, rec practice to this point.
What's the procedure to just get on this website and request a login? Is that,
it's this simple. You just go to new request and
but to get an account to have access to this is what I'm asking.
There'll be a,
Like
I will
a
put that on the website once.
Okay.
Once, we've had our first pass with
Okay.
us in the city, and then we'll put it on the
And then I
website.
assume there will be someone that approves that person to actually be able to log in or not?
yep,
Okay.
and then it'll have everything in it too, so if it's an outside group, we can even set it to where they can't move forward with their request until they provide a certificate of insurance, and then once we approve that certificate of insurance, it will allow them to proceed with their request.
Cool.
And outside of having the designee, that's the main change in that building usage, but it's definitely open for conversation. So again, plan to see that for a first read in September. Mr. Windheimer, how is our weather looking?
it's okay so far.
He's our weatherman for the night, designated weatherman?
Not moving very fast.
It's not moving at all. It's
We're,
just
we're
sitting right
okay,
over.
can continue?
So
I
far,
think it'll be fine.
Okay,
it just hasn't moved.
right? So next, just really appreciate the collaboration with the city. We have several projects that we're talking about. Met with Tyler Purvis last week. Had a really nice conversation with him. He sent me an email today, just talking about possibilities, particularly for childcare and some other things. So super excited about that. The next piece that I want to spend a moment on is our all-staff kickoff. And what I want to share with all of you as a board was a couple of key things that took place that we discussed. And you're sure, Mr. Weatherman, we're all good. Okay, just checking.
It's just hard rain
Just
right now.
checking, just double checking.
Like I'm hearing it.
So a few weeks back, a couple weeks ago, I'd asked staff, this is our vision, right? Every student will be valued, supported, and empowered to become responsible and productive citizens. Responsible and productive citizens. My curiosity was, and my question, what does it mean to be a responsible and productive citizen? And so staff gave several great answers, which I've started to put in our staff emails, and I'm just gonna quote them for quite a while to help understand, what does that mean? What does that look like? What are we aiming for? But I took all of that data and put it into ChatGPT and asked it to trend the data. And this is the 10 items here, what it generated. Then during this presentation, I asked staff to rate those, and I haven't quantified that yet, but I've asked staff to rate those. What do you see as the most important elements when you describe responsible and productive citizens? So then, so I'm gonna go past here. We had a lot of years of service, which were so much fun, amazing to see. But this came from Mrs. Singley, I think it came from you. It was either you or it was one of you where we talked about, it was at that meeting, I call you out in case you want that. But we were talking about, hey, how do we want August 6th, our first day back with staff, how do we want this to go? And in this, because culture was an area that we want to grow in, that we want to celebrate a year from now, that we have a strong culture, that is our focus. We laughed and said, instead of calling it the State of the Union, let's call it State of the Unity and chat that way. So that's our focus, the culture of trust and the Beat Digger way. The Beat Digger way being doing things with excellence. And we'll also talk about what the Beat Digger way for instruction is. And so then we took some time just to talk about what is a culture of trust that includes some elements. Clarity, that we need to have a clear understanding of what's going on. Talked about reaching out if you have questions. We want things to be clear. We want them to be clear for our staff, for our students, for our community, for our board members, for everyone. Also support, just like rain, different plants need different amounts of rain, right? Different amounts of rain. Some need very little, I have found, because I've killed them, but some need a lot. But we all need different amounts of support, and to make sure that we're providing the right amount of support to our staff and to each other. Another is communication, because again, I want to just shout out our principals. Tracy was like, hey, there's an extra O, so I got that too in there. Just like communication, or CO2, carbon dioxide, plants breathe that out and they breathe in oxygen, it's two-way, right? Communication needs to be two-way. And that is an important element of a culture of trust. And then it's commitment, it's committed to each other. Hey, we're playing for the name on the front of the uniform, right? We're in this together, we're riding for the brand, this is who we are, we're committed to being Beat Diggers. We're one community, we're a small community, we gotta do this together, let's come together, let's rally together, let's be dedicated to doing what's right for our students and for this community. So that's that commitment. And then at the last moment, I added one last piece, and that's all rooted in forgiveness. Without that forgiveness, all of those others kind of trickle away, right? If you don't have that, then you don't have that commitment. It's not really, you don't have something collecting that support and that having that clarity. So we need to be grounded in forgiveness. And this is a Mr. Singley analogy, and I had told the staff, gosh, I wanted him, do you want to share it tonight? Is it okay if I share? Is it okay?
I think it's your place to do it.
Is that okay? All right. But he did give me this sticker, which I appreciate. So over the past 5-6 years, there's been a lot of hard work, a lot that's gone on in this community and in our school district. And as we were talking this summer, I went, wow, you guys have gone through a lot, right? So in 2019, moved into a new secondary campus, which sounds lovely, but is really, really hard, right? It's just very, very difficult. A few little glitches when those things happen. 2020, we had something else happen, right? Well, COVID, pandemic, we may not want to talk about it. 2021, little thing about cell phones, right? I think there was a little cell phone thing that went on. 2022, we could call it administration reconfiguration, right? Which had its own set of challenges. 2023, and I know I'm not saying the full school year, but you get it. CBE, right? It's a lot. When you do the little stress test, like how many things until you're like stressed out, that's a lot that our school community has taken on, has gone through over the past 5 years. And they've poured their heart and soul into all of you, everybody around here, heart and soul into the school district, into our students, into creating things. And we're like, gosh, I have this beautiful thing. Like, yes, I'm working so hard. And then all of a sudden, because of various situations, whatever it might be, in our hearts, minds, whatever, felt very broken, shattered, divided, hurting, all of those. Could say for a lot of people. We had some very honest, candid conversations at the board retreat. We had some very honest conversations at CASE and at the admin, I don't know if you call it retreat, meeting, but I don't know if you call that a retreat. Anyway, I like to call things, nicer than maybe what they are. But some very candid conversations. We can all agree that, like we're working. We have a working lunch. Here we go. That's for everybody. See, I'm impartial. So, you want to keep working? We don't play. Okay. I'll work on that. I'm going to improve. That's going to be my improvement. How do you have fun? So, but we did. It was painful. I heard that from so many people. I read that in the surveys. I heard it from staff, like, ouch, there's some big wounds going on. That's where the forgiveness. And so when we were having this conversation as a admin team, Brian shared this word, kintsugi. And he described it, and I think all of us, our mouths just kind of dropped to the floor and went, oh my gosh. And what kintsugi is, it's a Japanese art form that takes gold and it solders the pieces together and makes a vase, again, a beautiful art form. And then the incredible thing about kintsugi is that, and I should say that gold for us represents trust. That's the gold that we're soldering with, which is clarity, communication, support, and commitment, with the backdrop of forgiveness. And for us, that kintsugi vase then is actually stronger, right, Brian? You're telling me it's actually stronger than the original vase. Has a higher value than the original vase. You're together, you're united. Your scars, Mr. Singley shared this during our time, and it resonated with my heart. And he was talking about sometimes we have these wounds and it has a scar, and sometimes people try to cover them up. But really, scars are to be celebrated. Gone through something, some lessons learned, and now we're better. We can be better because of that. And it's fun, and it's funner. The kintsugi face is funner. So it is, and so that struck us, that's what it is. We have these broken pieces and come together, and so this is what we shared with staff on last Tuesday. And Mr. Weatherman, are we still okay?
Yeah, it's
Just right so far.
pretty good.
Okay, just checking. Feel free to interrupt me if need be. So I won't take a lot of time on this, but our BEAT instructional model is continuing on. We're going to, and focusing on the execute part of our instructional model. And as an admin team, where we want to focus in this year is keeping those parts that we've learned about high quality instruction, those parts of competency-based education that we want to continue to do, and that's this. And that is, and we had some great conversations with administrators who care a lot about high quality instruction. There was a training last week for Atlas to get our curriculum units. I was talking to Ms. Kimball. The feedback from that was very positive. Staff were excited about having a place, having it organized. I don't know if you felt the same with your trainings, and getting it in there. And so we want objectives aligned to those UBD units, and we want all students engaged in every class every day, right? That's our mission. And specific, timely, actionable feedback, and those words are very intentional with the admin team, and varied assessment practices. And so that's our focus. And after that, each school team took off to go talk as a school about what does that look like at K2, at 3-5, at 6-12? What does that mean? Maintenance and transportation. What does the Beat Digger way of excellence look like for that team? And there were a lot more teams than that. But what do they look like? And then afterwards they met because everybody had a color of shirt to represent their school or department, and then they met to share out what the Beat Digger way is for them. And then Mr. Bass did a fantastic, provided a fantastic staff pep rally. That was, I thought, just so much fun. I laughed very, very hard. And
They did shoot down my first idea for a game, so.
you want to say what your first idea was?
Well, at the end of last year, we had kids do what was called table surfing. You lay down in a line and you roll like a log, but you roll a table on top of you with somebody sitting on it. The feedback I got was our staff was too old to do that.
I don't know, after what I saw on Tuesday, I think they could have done it.
Yeah, but Laney wanted to sing and
I did
We
mix
voted that
singing and
down.
dancing.
So,
One for one.
it's true, at the admin meeting, we were like, yeah, let's do singing, and Laney and I were like all about like, yeah, admin team, let's do a dance, like we'll start off with a dance. Not everybody was on board, and then finally it was decided, okay, maybe next year after lots of practice, maybe, we'll see if we have consensus. But anyway, we had a great time. And I felt like there was a lot of positive feedback. I mean, I would have to say everything I received on the exit tickets was positive. Any thoughts, anything else to share?
do you have the picture of the alumni?
I do. Let me pull that up. That's a great one. It's on Facebook, so excuse, or it's on our website too, but.
I had mentioned that to Sandy, Tracy, because someone said that out of all that were there, they counted close to 50 alumni.
Oh, yeah.
People that have
awesome.
graduated here that have chosen to come back and work for our district,
So
which
good.
I can't love more.
Let's see here. This is of the pep rally. Isn't that great?
Oh, I love it. They're doing that, they could definitely do the table surfing. I mean,
There it
That
is.
was my,
that's great.
Someone said there were 48, is that right?
I didn't count it.
It's great.
Those
I
are
love
all current staff members that graduated from BHS.
I love it.
Isn't that neat? Says a lot about grow your own.
It does,
Speaks
absolutely.
highly. All
Yeah,
right,
love
so that was our kickoff. And like I said today, hey, Kristen, you're perfect. You can come sit up with Lisa. We like to, we're like in a circle, other than Bobby, because he's taking care of our tech. Was it, thanks for coming through the rain. Just next time we're I'm gonna say, what's the weather gonna be? And then I'll say whether yes or no I'm coming. So then let's just move to the athletic handbooks. Mr. Bass, anything you want to share about the changes this year?
I think most of what you'll see highlighted is just cleaning up some antiquated language or clarifying some language. There's some references to things like the B Club. We're doing all the things that B Club did, just not through B Club anymore. So we'll get that language cleared up. And then in terms of training rules violations, just clearing up some language there, some may and shall language, and making sure the percentages are consistent across the board. And then I think there's a few lettering requirements that have just come up and caused some issues over the last few years, so cleaning some of that up and solving some just hot spots.
So are you asking for approval of, so some of those, like, I was just going through under sportsmanship expectations, the revision ends with, should this be 3 games with a question mark?
And we need to probably look at wording on that one as it currently stands. We do contests, which is not necessarily equitable across the seasons, because 2 contests for a football player is a lot different than 2 contests for a basketball player. And so it currently stands at 2. And on that one, I think we need to have a little more robust conversation about how we want to approach that. I think our coaches aren't really in agreement either. So I think the current language of 2 will stand in that. There's always a draft copy and a live copy. The live copy will just read 2. Just know that there are some future conversations that are left.
Okay.
Comments too. And
So we can approve it with the
Yeah.
two on there now?
Yeah, it'll be
Okay.
approved with that, and anywhere that there's a question or a draft sitting, those won't go live until we have, because I've challenged Marla and Sean to make sure that anything we bring in a handbook change has to pass with the coach's vote first. So those are the conversations that are on the agenda coming up. Do we need to clean that language up?
Okay. I was mainly asking because I didn't know if you were asking for dialogue on those pieces
And
or.
we do, I mean, we're open to some dialogue from what you might be hearing, things we're not hearing. It'd be good to know. I know that one for sure has been one that's always sort of come up, because again, if I get dinged with an unsportsmanlike conduct in football and I'm out the rest of the contest, and then the second time it happens, I'm out the rest and two more, we're talking about half a season.
Yeah.
Where if that happens to a basketball player, we're talking a fifth of the season. And so,
Same question as Mr. Chard, there was one about the towel fee. Do you want feedback from us on that, or have you already decided what you're?
I would like to know, because board policy is towel/PE fee now. We are collecting it from PE students. I don't know if we want to levy that on all athletes as well. We don't levy it twice, so if your kid has weightlifting and they're a football player,
Sure.
they get one towel PE fee. Is that something we want to continue to levy on? I think board policy is athletes and PE students, I think, and so.
It's been several months and I asked that question. I'm certain it was outside of a board meeting, but
Yeah, and that's when we changed the language.
In
When
the
it went through its first
policy?
reading, it read towel fee, and before second
Okay.
reading, we went towel/PE fee before second reading.
Right.
Which opened the funds up a little more for our PE crew, because we had a decent amount of money sitting there. Well, we only buy 200 towels a year. Kids don't really use towels or shower all that much.
yeah.
We don't buy a lot of laundry detergent to do towel laundry, because they don't use them.
Right, 'cause, I mean, that was a discussion I
And
had with
so-
Scott and the PE teachers, and
Yeah.
they said, we're not really using it because we don't use
Yeah.
towels.
By changing that to PE, that allows us to use it as equipment replacements. We're able to buy some things for PE classes. We're able to replace some smaller items in the weight room that we were gonna have to get creative on. And that's where I'm open for some dialogue on whether or not we levy it on athletes, because I will be 100% honest with you. Road football games generally take towels, and wrestling generally uses towels. I'm not sure any other sports actually use them all that much.
And this is the latest version. This is from October of '23, and I think it's called a PE fund.
And it goes into a PE fund, yeah.
Any additional thoughts or questions or comments on those?
And wrestling washes their own anyways, because they have their own process, so.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Mr. Bass. Personnel report, you'll see there. Super excited for our new staff. Mrs. Kimball and Mr. Bass did a nice job with the new staff training. It went really well. I've heard a lot of positive feedback from that as well. So for first reading tonight, for policies, and you have them in hard copy as well right here. The first one is the policy CCA, and it is our organizational structure. So Sandy and I worked on this a little bit and tweaking it. And so the big thing is we moved food service out because that is not a direct report to me. Also put the athletic directors under the high school principal, and then changed principal to director. The reason why it's not redlined and so forth is because this wasn't on our policy page per se, so it's like new-ish. So so take a look at that, and we will talk about it at the next board meeting for a second read. The next one that you're going to see is GBGG. This is one that I worked with Ms. Loveland on, and it is just clarifying about hours versus days, because our days are different, and so it's putting in language for hours instead of days. I did run this policy back or by our legal counsel just to make sure that it's in compliance with, required labor laws, and it is. So she got back to me. The third one is policy GBEBA. It's the staff dress code policy, and you're gonna see a recommendation to strike what professional attire is. It's just a different age. I would like for it to be okay for staff to dress professionally, including wearing jeans, as long as they're professional. The reason I say that is because being in a lot of school districts, I would much rather a staff member be comfortable and get on the floor with kids and have jeans than wear heels and a short skirt and have to stand there. And sometimes, we'll stop there. So that is why I'm recommending that piece. It's still being professional, just maybe not to that level of ties and dresses. So something to consider. Student fundraising activities is also up for first reading, and this is again just putting into writing what we're okay with. It is most important that we follow through on our promise with the MLO language, right? When we made those promises, when we were asking the community to pass that MLO, we talked about fundraising from my understanding, and so we want to carry through with those promises. So the recommendations here are what is okay? What is okay? Is it okay for a athletic group, a club, whomever to do a service activity? Is that okay? I went to a wonderful service activity event called the Oyster Fry last spring. I thought it was fantastic. And if you do that for one club, then can other clubs, right? It's just that. What is okay? And then just putting language in it. That, is it okay with the board? The other that came up is about gold or discount cards. They support local businesses, so what I've heard or been told is that there's a desire to bring for the community to have those. They like to purchase those because it supports local businesses versus shopping on Amazon or whatever. So that was a desire. So this again is up for first read it through, and then we'll discuss it at the next board meeting. It might be because we have several policies up for a second reading that we've talked about a board work session coming up. Maybe for storm damage, that's a longer conversation, and also for these policies. We might want to have that conversation as well. Not any questions because it's first reading, so I'll just go on to our second reading policy, and then I'll ask you if you have any questions. And that is our school board policy, policy BG. This we are not recommending any changes. It's just up for second reading for discussion. So the key piece that I want to point out again that I pointed out at the last month is on page 2. And that's just kind of what is our process. So at this first meeting, it's just I'm presenting you with the information. It's not meant for discussion because you haven't really had a chance to dive in and read those and ask the questions that you might need to ask. At the second reading, that's where we'll discuss. And then it will be, you could take a vote to move it to a third reading. It is on your agenda to take this to a third reading, and it will just be reviewed on that date in September 16th. But a policy can stay in second reading for multiple meetings. So discussion on policy BG?
I do have a handful of questions.
Sure.
And it may, there seems to be a couple discrepancies in this policy to me. When you look at the paragraph right below where it talks about first, second, third reading, it appears that paragraph seems to not require the three-step process for amending policy that adopting new policy does require. And then the question I have in regards to that is on there's 4 paragraphs below that under policy revision and review. It says policy revision shall be accomplished in the same manner as policy adoptions, which means three-step process. To me, that kind of contradicts the paragraph about amendments. So what's the difference between an amendment and a revision?
What the word amendment is tricky because we think, hey, we're amending this, but that's often like your regulations. So you'll see in some of your policies, like if we had BG-R, that would be a regulation, or BG-E, that would be an exhibit. And those regulations exhibit don't typically require that 3-phase of the board policy review and approval. You could, and I do bring exhibits and regulations to the board. And what you might want to do is either with this paragraph is to change that word amendments to regulations and exhibits. If you're okay with not having board approval on exhibits and regulations, or you could just strike that paragraph if you want to review regulations and exhibits.
How cumbersome would that be if we did the three-step process with all the regulations and exhibits? Would that be?
In my past practice, I do, because I'm also picky about what becomes an exhibit. I don't think like your school calendar should be an exhibit. I just say, keep your policies evergreen. School calendar is a school calendar. Our school calendar policy, that can be a policy, that, because I don't want us to have to change our policies all the time and our exhibits every year. That just gets messy. So I don't know if any of you have looked into other districts' policies. If you go to their exhibits and regulations, oftentimes they're out of date because it's like a calendar from 2018, or it's something from, because it's either a policy or it's not in the way I think of it. So no, I don't see it as cumbersome.
Okay.
But that's my opinion.
Sandy, do you have any thoughts? I know you're the one that ends up implementing these changes and stuff in our policy. Do you have any problems with striking that paragraph we were talking about?
Would clarify which paragraph you're referencing.
The one that talks about
Let me pull it up on the screen too, and I'll put
This
it
one here.
redlined.
So it says amendments may be proposed by board members. An amendment shall not require that the policy go through an additional reading.
So I have a different interpretation of what that says. I interpret that as basically saying that after second reading, third meeting / second reading, a board member can still offer an amendment. So, and if the amendment is approved by the board, that does not require, in order to adopt that policy or take final vote on that policy.
I see.
That it has to have an additional reading.
So that's what
To do so.
that's what
That's
it's
how I
referring to
interpret
as an
that.
amendment. So it's an amendment to policy that's currently being reviewed.
Correct.
Okay.
That's how I interpret that.
Kind of
paragraph,
in
but-
that light, what you're saying is like, we're wanting to change this paragraph. It's not gonna kick it back to second reading again next
Or
month.
even first reading.
It'll stay in final approval next month instead
So,
of,
I believe the correct business procedure in that exact scenario would be that, the board would vote on a proposed amendment to the policy. If that passes, then the board can move to final vote to adopt that policy as amended.
Yeah.
In a single meeting
Okay.
without having to create an additional reading.
Would it help if we put a phrase there that during third reading, this is what's happening? Or is it inferred because it's right below third reading?
I could be helpful to add it for clarity.
Because its only need would be during second reading.
Yeah, second or,
It wouldn't be that,
Right.
if that's what the intent of that paragraph is, as I've described it, it wouldn't have any relevance in first reading.
right?
I think the idea is that if a board member brought a proposed amendment to a policy during second reading, the board could choose to approve that amendment and still adopt the policy as amended in the same meeting. Or it gives the flexibility, if the board's not comfortable by majority, to adopt that policy with amendment. They don't have to, and that doesn't necessarily kill the amendment, but you have the flexibility to extend that to an additional reading.
Or it can stay in second reading.
That's how I
like said,
interpret
right?
it.
Like,
Yeah, I would just
whatever.
leave it the way it is, but
Okay.
I think we're overthinking it.
Keep it?
Yeah.
Keep it, leave it.
Any other thoughts on that policy?
Under policy adoption, the third paragraph down talks about policies G, I, J, and BG will be introduced to the meet and confer committee. Do those policies also go through meet and confer during the review process like we're doing now?
I have not taken it to meet and confer, but that would be a good, I mean, obviously, not even a good idea. That sounds like it needs to happen. So,
What are our board's interpretation on that one? Cause that could be, I guess you could interpret that it's intended for new adoption of new policy. But later down it says, policy revision shall be accomplished in the same manner as policy adoption.
so I would
This
just
says
share.
policy proposal, so I would say that would be encompassing proposals, says any action with policy would be a proposal. If it's an amendment, if it's just a review and readoption, whatever.
Cause we've got 2 G policies and a J policy.
I think where my question would be is before presentation to the board as an informational item, which would be first reading, then it would go to G. So, or it would go to the meet and confer, because, that would be my question, because I could definitely take it there, obviously not before first, but I could
Yeah.
take it there for, before third and final reading. And in a previous district where we had a pretty strong union, that was part of it. Was it called meet and confer? It was a 4x4, but it was a similar concept, and any G policies went to 4x4.
Has meet and confer had any policy put in front of them?
A
Yes.
lot.
Yeah, okay.
We always do. We always have, like, this spring when we asked for double dock on PD days,
Yep.
we took that to meeting
Well,
confer
and
prior to bringing it to the board.
There's time to meet and confer, we'll bring a policy like, hey, somebody brought this to our attention, we don't think we agree with it, what can we do about it, or can we change it because everybody's taking advantage of X, Y, or Z? So, yeah, it's a good discussion both ways, we bring it and then they bring some too, so, yeah.
So what we could do is I could just take it to them and it can go to first reading again next month too. So those
So
are
meet and confer
possibilities.
meets how often? Monthly?
Once a month.
Starting in September.
Yeah.
I personally would like to see that change to, it needs to be addressed with meet and confer prior to, let me make sure I say this right. Prior to the second meeting or slash first reading. I mean,
Prior to the,
Second
the
meeting.
Second meeting
So
slash
in
first
between the
reading.
first and second step.
okay,
And the reason I say that is, what happens if 2 days after meet and confer meets, Ms. Cody decides that there's a policy that this board needs to review now for whatever reason? We don't wanna handcuff what needs to happen.
Yeah, I don't
because it
disagree
could happen
with that.
before the first meeting, but it,
Yeah.
or
Right.
second. So just if
If
you
you're still
change
meeting that requirement, and it's obviously has a purpose for that, but it doesn't create a handcuff. Somebody, there's an argument against that?
What's that?
Nobody-
Yeah.
I'm not hearing any rebuttal.
No, I think it makes sense, I think we can see the item now, she can take it to meet and confer before our second time seeing it and bring back feedback.
Because then at first
Yeah.
reading, if there's feedback from that group,
Yeah,
incorporate
Oh,
that
and
and
make
start
that part
2
of our
readings
report.
to-
before the first
Right.
reading.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. We can make those revisions.
There's a fourth paragraph under policy revision and reviews, talks about, any changes of policy that affect the benefits, rights, responsibilities, expectations of students or staff shall be provided in writing. legally in writing include electronic communication nowadays? So fourth paragraph under policy revision.
We're talking like email, Paul, in writing, being emailed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that included?
Yes.
Or Alma, or
Mhm.
however we're communicating?
It's all through email.
And that would be okay,
Mhm.
saying in writing, okay.
Yeah, and I sent out my superintendent's report to all staff, so they can post it right now. And then I also will post it like on social media, like with my board summary.
Mhm.
So going back to that first page, I just wanna make sure we have this right. So policies in section G, I, J, and policy BG will be introduced to the meet and confer committee before the first reading.
I would just say before presentation to the board for first reading.
For first reading.
Yep.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay.
Those are confusing because step one is not first reading, step two
Right,
is first
right.
reading. So,
The first meeting is informational, it's kind of like
Yeah.
really a first reading, because
Yeah.
you're reading it for the first, but then second one is the, but yeah, whatever. Sure.
yeah, I think that's all we
Okay.
need to do there.
All right, and believe it or not, we have now finished the superintendent's report. And Kristen, you're still awake, so that's good. Awesome. Thank you all.
Very good, thank you, Marcia. Would you like to introduce Kristen to the board?
I would be happy to. So Kristen Clifford Basil is the Executive Director of the Morgan County Economic Development. I've had the pleasure of meeting her. We went for coffee, about a month ago? And she shared what their focus is, and then I also had the opportunity to go to Route 76 meeting last Thursday, which is a group of business owners and stakeholders that met at the block in Fort Morgan last time. I don't know if that's typical. And Kristen leads us work, and so this is something that's taking place for our students at Brush High School, and we thought it would be nice for everybody to hear what's going on. So, Kristen, if you want to go ahead.
Thank you. So I think you guys have the printout for Route 76 explaining how that group got started. I don't know if you have that pyramid, I can print that too.
And I can pull it up too.
Okay.
This one, sure. Yeah.
So the Route 76 started as a group. MCEDC is a nonprofit, and we're publicly and privately funded. So we started Route 76 as a way to engage our members to identify areas of opportunity for us to focus and drive our work. So when we do our strategic plan every year, we are planning for what the business community needs. And about 2 years ago, we kept hearing workforce. We have a really low unemployment rate, which makes it really hard to get to the top of that pyramid, which is standard or typical economic development behavior. So we start at the bottom with our leadership. We have a strong board. I have 13 board members that represent Morgan County at large, Wiggins, Fort Morgan, and Brush. And so for the last almost 5 years now, I've been working with them, and the community development is where we really need work before we can get to the top of that pyramid for our work. So that's how we got into the workforce area. And I present this because we were always asked, why is economic development focused on workforce development? Well, workforce development is economic development. I can't go recruit a major employer if we don't have a solid workforce for them to hire. And it took me probably 2 years to figure out when somebody said, what does your workforce look like? They didn't want to hear agriculture, they wanted actual numbers. And I
There's your warning.
Missed that one, Derek.
Yeah.
That's because I can't go outside and watch it. I gotta start
Exactly, yeah.
That's
Is that where
when
you
I
just
got
went?
here.
Did you get it before we did?
No.
I was gonna be jealous right now.
No, it doesn't look that bad.
Okay, good. Oh, shoot.
When the power goes out, then we should be worried.
Get right. When we hear it quit, that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's yours.
Oh.
Of course.
All right. It's exciting work.
It's thrilling. We're awake now.
Well, that went off in my car when I pulled up. So that's how we got to workforce. The next piece was identifying what area of workforce we can make an impact. As a nonprofit, I like results. I don't want to apply for a grant and just say, oh, we have this idea, get us through 3 years, and I'll apply for another grant, do the same work 3 times over. So within this workforce, we worked with the state demographer's office and identified that every year 800 to 1,000 18 to 24-year-olds migrate outside of the community. Majority is for work. And so we analyzed that even more of the high school students, and about 30% of high school students are going to college. 50% of them end up coming back to the community. But so if you look at 70% leaving for work, that's a pretty large number to work with. And we felt that was an area we have solved numbers and we could track it over a period of time. So then a couple grants came up for.
Is that the siren? Well, that's more worrisome than the notification.
There's a tornado in the area.
Is there?
My boys just texted me there.
Derek, do you wanna go see what it looks like?
I'm gonna go look
Yeah,
outside.
go check.
Thanks, Derek.
I'm
Right,
gonna go
Mr.
use the
Weatherman.
bathroom.
Funnel, or if it's a mile away.
If he doesn't
South?
come back, we can get under the table.
The hook is definitely south, isn't it? Yeah, that hook is.
It's at Derek's house right now.
I only
Oh,
run the
crap.
side if you see one.
Yeah.
Right here.
So I'm wondering, is it a big one or like a
You'll
little?
see a funnel cloud. It may not touch the ground yet, but there's a funnel cloud on there. God, that rain is coming down. That's what we just said, Brian. The hook looks south, right? The hook looks south.
Usually you're in the southwest corner
Of our
the
county.
storm, and there's usually on Doppler radar a real definitive hook.
Yeah, I can see it, but it's south of us, so
That's
that's,
tornado warning. From
It's
the
at
chief.
Derek's house.
Yeah.
yeah. It's at Derek's house. That's encouraging. Poor guy.
What's the policy on this?
I know, right?
You're free to go if you
We'll
need to
review
go.
that one next
I,
week. Just kidding.
Okay.
don't really know what to do when you don't know which direction to run.
Right? Yeah.
You can't really see anything, it's raining too hard.
That's the problem, right? It's gonna be rain wrapped anyway.
Yeah, it's kinda dark all the way around, but, and it ain't even hardly blowing here, so I think we're fine here.
We could turn on Paul Acosta. I'm sure he's following it. I mean, not
Yeah,
even lying.
sprinklers are on the
Paul would
grass.
have eyes on it if it's out there. We can turn his broadcast on.
I don't think
Chill.
he's here, I think he's up north, cause I just looked.
Did he go north? Oh man, he's gonna be so mad.
Oh, goodness.
Are you comfortable continuing?
Yep.
My husband's at home, so I can't do it. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So workforce became our focus.
So sorry.
And we try to break it down into smaller pieces. So high school students, juniors and seniors before they graduate, trying to engage with them to identify workforce opportunities locally. As we were engaging with them, we identified training as an opportunity. A lot of them not wanting to go to college. Is there any training we could provide in school? So driving to work one day, thinking about my own kids and their friends and what they enjoy doing and how to get them engaged in work, because that just seems to be a challenge. Gaming popped in my mind. So I got to the office and talked to our program manager and threw out the idea of trade skills training through virtual reality. And he is the former dean of workforce at MCC and tried getting this at MCC and didn't get it pushed through. So he said there's actually a platform. I've been working with it. We looked into it. Found Interplay Learning, which is a platform we use, and wrote a program, and then found a grant.
Okay. Who said that?
Well,
I'm the biggest to see when it comes to weather.
If it goes out 3 times, that's what I was always told, we get nervous.
That's two.
well, did that count as 3 or not?
Well,
Okay.
The siren stopped.
Yes. Yes, we're trying to
Yeah.
figure out what to do here.
I think that means the warning. Oh, there you go.
Okay, goes off
Go
again,
out
following
again.
Derek's,
We're
there you
almost
out.
We're in board.
Well, you don't get it back if it goes off again.
That's
It's
true.
tracks.
Yeah.
It'll take a line to get it back on. if it goes off
Probably.
3 times.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Huh.
I did message Ben, cause he always watches Paul when he's around, but there's just funnels right now. I don't know, is there one on the ground?
What do you guys think? Roll on or? We need to make a decision.
Yeah.
Either go or not.
You gotta,
This is really not that important. I mean, it is.
I
but-
just also worry about people going out.
I was gonna
You
say,
can't see
should we all
anything
go
anyway.
outside and get in our vehicles and drive?
Right.
But
Yeah, I don't know that we're safe one way or the other, here or in a car.
Anybody have-
In the structure?
chief of police or?
I would say this is it. You
Fire
don't have
chief's phone
exterior,
number?
I
not
can try
really. I mean,
sheriff.
this would be your best, but it's a
David
metal
was at
building.
council.
Everybody's
Greg
saying
is-
it's
Like a
southeast
Quonset.
of Morton
I'll
County.
call Dave right quick.
It's like a little.
Okay,
I see what
so I
you're-
call
Oh, you're
Dave,
south
Dave.
here?
It's evening.
We're gonna try and get the sheriff, see if he knows anything.
Okay.
Is that what you want me to do? Call Dave, yeah.
I think it's, yeah, he'll know.
David was at council just now, and that's what
Was
she
partly
was
pro
about.
procedure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Dave did?
Okay. King of his radio.
Need a motion to adjourn.
Holy cow.
Huh?
Dave, Bryson, Miller.
Your storm damage deal got more.
We are all sitting in the board room for a school board meeting at the school district. Can you give us any
Which part?
advice on what
All
we
of
should
it.
do?
So I better make a phone call, you know?
Yeah, I have a lot more to share on that.
I know, but like all this needs documented, what happened today.
Right, here too. And the sirens went off in Brush. Okay.
Are we still live?
Okay.
So
Okay,
you,
so we're still live.
nobody's spotting anything that's out looking, watching. Okay.
Coordinating, right?
All right. Okay.
I'm so
Appreciate it.
Most of the time they blow the sirens every year. They have to
You
say
should
what's
be
happening.
texting changes there, please, because we're sitting in a, not going to approve room.
You can barely see the shed from the house, so.
I think we're hearing we're okay.
They said there's nothing coming across the radios of any spot.
Okay.
Well, then we'll just,
We should be good.
Okay,
Sheriff said there's nothing coming across you saying that
okay. I'll try to talk
any
fast.
spotters.
give me 10 seconds, I'll have this going and we'll be good.
She said
It's a
nothing, she
video.
just can't see the
Okay.
shed.
That's crazy. Bobby just showed us a video. It is.
If we get cut short, I wanna come back.
It's a picture.
And are you gonna play the videos? or
I'll
try
start
to-
with the
There's a
interplay
river
video,
running
I'll do
through
that
my
one of
place.
the
I bet.
overview since we're
That's a
sure
lot
it's
of rain.
what really
Bad
matters,
too.
and then we'll do the.
Mine drank
little
Then I can
it,
pick
but-
up after that.
Does
You
that
okay,
sound good?
Kendra?
It's a lot.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, when we had that tornado that went through, what, 5, 6 years
Yeah.
ago? Well, I was at home and Mike was like, oh, I gotta go get on a truck, so we left our girls like by themselves. It's a hardcore rule.
Oops.
So that's what I was worried
Yeah.
about.
I get it.
if it goes up this third.
I
Do
would
you need
play.
to, do you need to go
No,
with your girls?
he,
Okay.
no, he's safe, he's safe.
Okay.
When they wanna go play on their trucks.
I understand.
Have you seen Twister, the new movie?
I've not.
I have
want
to, not the new one.
She's like, this is not helping the
This is
anxiety.
real- this is real life right now.
Anxiety levels are higher.
I think we're good.
I do too.
I do too.
Dave said he'd text me if they spot me.
Thanks, Bryson, for making that.
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah, it's kinda south of you. Yeah. It's not moving is the problem.
It's
Yeah.
not moving at all.
Well, it doesn't have a dock because it's on the computer, but there's the interstate. So we're right in here somewhere. Is there 71?
Well, it was live
I'm
right
clicking
there for you.
extend, Bobby, but it's not liking it.
No.
Or duplicate,
No.
it's not liking it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
I did follow the same directions. All the things.
Interplay learning.
Was there anything else you wanted to share on the pyramid before we?
I think that interplay videos give a good
Give a good.
segue to the next, yeah.
Okay. And I have the interplay and then Not that, that's not color changing. I don't know what that, it would.
Jazza Inc. Trades, they fully
Okay.
So this is the platform we currently use for the education piece, and we received a grant to provide 50 students with a module, and
All right, here we go. So this is what the.
Interplay Learning, an immersive skilled trade stream, helps you train workers faster and better than ever before. Featuring over 300 hours of experiential videos and hands-on simulations in HVAC, plumbing, electrical, appliances, safety, and more. Our video courses are taught by industry experts who explain key fundamental concepts in a way that's clear, concise, and easy to understand. Our simulations allow you to train and mentor your team the way they want to learn, hands-on, anytime, anywhere. Take courses that are filled with short 3 to 5 minute videos that feature realistic equipment, diagrams, and tools, and without any talking heads. Access courses quickly from a desktop, tablet, or phone, and take them in your choice of English or Spanish. Use VR to enhance the experience and help workers retain more information. Utilize Interplay during service calls to help technicians troubleshoot when and where they need it most. Assess your workers' skills and monitor their progress using robust administration features that allow you to assign courses and create learning paths for career development. Let workers earn points, compete, and get real-time feedback from quizzes and assessments. With Interplay's affordable, skilled trades training, it's easy to build a confident and highly skilled team, giving you more time to focus on your business, while also building better careers and better lives for your team. Visit interplaylearning.com and request a demo today.
so with Interplay, they have two platforms. They have Skill Mill, which is what was pretty much described there, and then they have the Academy, which is what we use, and they're clear pathways that each student has to go through. There's beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and they have to pass each section with 80% before they can move on to the next. And it doesn't replace the hands-on training for apprenticeship, but it does qualify as your technical training required for apprenticeships. You can create apprenticeship and apprenticeship hours, and they are certified with the U.S. Department of Labor as an apprenticeship program. So. And they do offer, each platform comes with OSHA 10, and we negotiated OSHA 30, so they get the training they need to test out of OSHA 30 when they're done with the first beginner level module.
How, what's the equipment look like?
Should we go to the next video? Or we
I guess my question is, like, how versatile are you on all these different skills and trades with what you have?
So this is what we use. It's just an Oculus headset. And you set your barrier and then you use these as your drill, and it just walks you through the different steps. We have a welding one that we use, which is 100% on this. And it's with Tulsa Welding School. They designed it during COVID. And they found that when their students came back, they were better welders than before because you're fully immersed. Your retention rate with VR training is 75% versus 10% classroom. There's no break in your learning. So when you're welding, for example, when you lay a bead, if you're going too fast or too slow, you're getting that live feedback saying that you're going too fast or too slow, so you don't have to stop. Take it to your instructor, they tell you what you did wrong, and then you go back. So, and it's safety-wise for employers, and material-wise, the cost savings is tremendous when you're using VR training, even if it's just for confidence or basic knowledge in reskilling or upskilling or training an employee or a student in our case.
So here, should we show this one? This is a nice one that shows that.
I wanted to be in a trade because you can do almost anything with welding.
We have employers telling us that they don't have enough workers to do those jobs, especially on the welding side.
There's a big learning curve with welding. The beauty of virtual reality is it simulates that exact muscle memory that they need.
It was definitely a confidence boost. It made me feel like maybe this is something that I was meant to do.
And so the welding, the OcuWeld for this is 100% on the headset, and we found another platform to use once they've graduated from this one, where they'll put on a helmet and they'll have a glove, and then there'll be a plate where they can actually feel it on them and do some more VR training, but that'll be like phase 2 from this one.
I see some of the welding manufacturers coming out with, I mean, they're blasting it all over social media.
Yeah, Interplay, we're the first, they've been around for several years, and we are the first school program that has engaged with them to do preschool training with high school students. And they are a national company. They have major construction companies that they partner with for their training and reskilling.
So does Brush already use something similar to this?
So we've introduced it to Brush. We've been working with Ron Albo's class.
Okay.
So we started in the spring semester, and then we have until September 30th to use up our grant. We did just get a $15,000 grant from CHAFA for their direct effect awards to keep the program going. And then Beacon and Zoma, which are both Walmart funded foundations, they've reached out asking what funding we need and how they could partner with us.
Very good.
Dave said that there's several power lines down through town, and that they're calling favorable tornado conditions, but they still have not spotted anything. So,
And I can send these videos out to the board members and,
I think
you know,
we
I
ought to
can.
that'd be great.
Keep moving it along, yeah.
Yeah.
Get the heck out of here.
But I do appreciate you.
Yeah, so I can just give a quick update. So our goal is 50 students. Last year we ended with 22 students enrolled, a couple dropped off, but we did come to registration at Brush and in Fort Morgan, and we had 17 interested in Fort Morgan and 13 interested in Brush. That gets us to our 50 mark, which was originally a 2-year goal. So we're hoping to surpass that within the first few weeks of school to get it really introduced. And then 2 kids graduated from Fort Morgan last year with electrical. They went out to Cargill, and Cargill pulled their applications and kind of gave them priority because Cargill's one of our partners to do the interview and hiring process with those 2 kids in the electrical area.
Wow.
I love that a lot.
Have we talked to Ag Ed about implementing?
Mr. Basket probably had.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we have some, well, almost all of our students are ag that are.
We do have 25 headsets, and we bring it into the school, and John facilitates on site, so it's not adding to any students or any teacher's workload. And we plan to probably get 25 more headsets and then 3 of those welding stations to keep it going beyond the grant cycle.
I love the fact that it adds apprenticeship hours. My son did 2 years of MCC, the electrician's program, went to work for Encore, and he's working in Cheyenne right now. But I love that he can do that, and yet it doesn't add to your apprenticeship hours, MCC. It's not hands-on stuff enough to count, so
Yeah.
I really like using that in conjunction. That's a great idea.
And the federal government is recertifying the apprenticeship program, and it originally was 18 and older, but due to lack of participation in workforce and the younger kids in trades, they're rewriting it to make it 16 to 18 for apprenticeship hours and training. So
That's
hopefully
awesome.
that'll get passed here soon too.
Yeah,
Cool.
that is awesome.
Well,
I'm
thanks.
just excited, like what it can do. I mean, just the field that I know about, electric stuff, because you need 8,000 hours to be ready to test for your J card. You can only have 3 apprentices working for every journeyman you have. So if you don't have journeymen coming up through the ranks, or you lose them before they get to that point, you can't grow your company because you don't have enough journeymen per the ratio. So I love this. I think this is great.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, any way to keep getting it in the schools in different classes, we are here for it.
Good.
Cool. Maybe we can get an update later this fall.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you for braving the weather.
Yeah.
Thank you very
I'm gonna
much.
go ahead and go.
Yeah, be safe.
You
Be
may.
careful.
Thank you for coming, that was good.
Yes.
And
Yeah, thanks for your
principals
work.
and directors, if you wanna go, if you feel comfortable going, you're welcome to go, cause it's action items and things. Please feel free. Just be safe.
We do have our Route 76 meetings, if you ever want to share that with any of the board members to attend them, just to get updates and see who's engaged with us.
Okay.
It's about, and it's
do pay
businesses,
attention if
right?
you go through town, because Dave said there's several now. Poles, lines.
Yeah, be careful.
And if there's something bad headed this way, give us a call back.
Shout out, please. As you're running away from it, holler at us.
Just so that we're prepared for it.
That's right. Duck and cover. We got that
Kristen,
handled.
can you just give a 1-sentence summary of why they should join Route 76?
Thank you.
Yeah, so the Route 76 is just a monthly meeting where we engage community stakeholders. And so we get updates on the programs, what we have coming forward, and then we take feedback on anything we need to do. I mean, Gail Davies was there with Fort Morgan, and she had a bunch of questions that we don't think about because we're not in the schools training. So it's just a great way for us to learn about how we can do better and things we can improve on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Okay, next item of business, we're into action items, 8.1, substitute teachers, 2024, 2025. Is there a motion to take action here?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the 2024-2025 substitute list as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2024, 2025 substitute list as presented. Any discussion? There's no discussion, roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tavellini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchester.
Aye.
Mr. Char.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, Woodland MOU.
Move to approve the Woodland MOU.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Oh, go ahead, Trent.
You're taking the second?
Sure, I'll take it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Woodland School District MOU. Is there any debate? There's no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tavellini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchester.
Aye.
Mr. Char.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, childcare preschool tuition.
Move to approve the proposed childcare preschool tuition.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the, should I go ahead and read that whole, probably read that whole motion out, huh?
Please.
It's been moved and seconded to approve paying 100% of preschool tuition and 50% of childcare tuition for employees' children enrolled in the programs. Any debate?
I just had one question. That will start for this school year? Okay, thank you.
And a clarification piece, preschool tuition will only be paid if they don't qualify for any of the assistance positions.
Would you add that to the motion? So add that to the motion.
Just, we want to make
Right.
sure our
We
staff is still
utilize UPK,
seeking those positions
Head Start
first.
first, yeah.
Just want to make sure that's
Right.
stated.
Right.
So do we need to amend that motion then?
Yes.
Probably.
Probably.
Amend your own, or you want to do?
Go ahead.
Move to amend the main motion by adding in that preschool tuition will only be paid if tuition assistance opportunities are not obtained by the employee
Or other tuition opportunities are unavailable.
or unavailable
Or
or.
they are, don't
Or they are
qualify for.
unqualified?
They are unqualified,
They
they
get
don't
what
qualify. Yes, Andy, that.
Yeah. Word salad for you to do something with.
Only if
This,
Other
tuition
financial avenues
assistance
have been.
programs
Yeah.
are not qualified for.
Yes. That's clear.
So we need a second on that amendment.
I'll second that amendment.
And we need a vote on that amendment.
Okay.
So, roll call please, Sandy.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tavellini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchester.
Aye.
Mr. Char.
Aye. So motion passes to amend the main motion. Now we need discussion on the main motion to move to approve paying 100% of preschool tuition and 50% of childcare tuition for employees' children enrolled in the programs if said employee does not qualify for assistance programs.
Well said.
Is there any other debate?
Not qualified for tuition assistance.
No debate. Roll call please, Sandy.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tavellini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchester.
Aye.
Mr. Char.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 8.4, meal prices 2024, 2025.
I move to approve 2024-2025 meal prices.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the attached 2024, 2025 meal prices. Is there any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tavellini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchester.
Aye.
Mr. Char.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 8.5, additional TPS kitchen work.
I move to approve the additional work to complete the Thompson primary kitchen remodel not to exceed $22,158.04.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the additional work to complete the Thompson primary kitchen remodel not to exceed $22,158.04. Any debate? There is no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Tavellini.
Aye.
Mr. Winchester.
Aye.
Mr. Charter.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 8.6, BMS, BHS athletic handbooks.
I move to approve the BMS and BHS athletic handbooks.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve BMS and BHS athletic handbooks. Any debate? There's no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Catalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Charter.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 8.7, CD renewals.
I move to approve renewal of the BHS scholarship CD valued at $25,413.69 with Farmer State Bank for 12 months at a rate of 4.4%.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the renewal of the BHF scholarship CD. Is there any debate? No debate. Roll call, please, Sandy.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Catalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Charter.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 8.8, personnel.
I move to approve the personnel report.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the attached personnel report. Any debate? There's no debate. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Catalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Charter.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, 8.9, move policy to second reading.
I move to approve board policy BG, school board policy process to a third reading.
Need to move it to second. Actually, there's no
To
third
second reading,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's a typo.
That's
So I
right. No,
changed
you're
it
fine.
here, but I didn't.
You're
change it.
fine, you're fine. To second reading, I amend that. Apologies.
With changes.
With changes that we've discussed tonight being added into the policy. There, is that one continuous motion?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve board policy BG, school board policy process to a second reading with the changes discussed in tonight's meeting. Any discussion? No discussion. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Garrett.
Aye.
Mrs. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen.
Aye.
Mr. Catalini.
Aye.
Mr. Wincheimer.
Aye.
Mr. Charter.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item of business, information items. The next board meeting will be September 16th at 6 p.m. at Beaver Valley, and we're lining up a board meal at 5 p.m. ahead of the meeting. So hopefully everyone can make it to that. Do we want to just speak about a work session at a later time?
I can
Figure
just send
logistics
out, is that okay?
Okay.
And I'll schedule one-on-one. I asked to meet with you to schedule one-on-ones. I'll just do that. I'll give you a call tomorrow. How's that sound?
Do you have any clarifications for anything we've discussed in the meeting?
Sorry, slightly distracted tonight, but no, we're good.
You're on your own as soon as you hit the floor.
I also wanted to say thank you. It was nice to hear lots of laughter in the room.
It was very good.
That's part of the.
No
And
further,
I liked hearing that from our own. That was really nice.
there's no further business. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging with us all night.
Yeah, I kind of figured I was gonna be, and driving to Wiggins, I'm pretty sure I don't want to be out there right now.
I bet you don't.
I'm just gonna go to my office and work.
You don't have to go very far west.
No, and it's just, I can't believe
Tornado
how,
in the city of Rush.
yeah.
Prior lines are
How's it look
hospital
like
roads
from
tonight.
here to the Carroll Street Apartments?
How'd it go?
Very wet.
That's,
I'd take the long
based
way.
on
That's the wrong
my
That's the wrong
estimation of the
direction.
city of Brush, that's probably the wrong way.
You're right in the middle.
You're
Go
going
to
right
Snyder
to the
first,
heart of
hang out there for a bit.
And then come back.
Kristen just said avoid mill and hospital.
All right, same to you.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, there's
Thanks, Sandy. You just had